Hello and welcome to my key assessment project for FRIT 7235, Digital Learning Environments. I used Google Classroom to build my online course, which is centered on reading and writing narrative essays for a college-level Composition 101 class, and is designed to be used with a hybrid class. Since I would also see these students in person, the activities you'll see in the unit align with in-class work from my narrative essay section. Each lesson aligns with 1 week of work, and there are 3 lessons: Introduction to Narrative Essays, Narrative Essay Drafting, and Narrative Essay Revising. In Lesson 1, we'll be learning about narrative essays. The rubric for this lesson's activities is attached to the introduction post that tells students how to work through the materials in this section. On Monday of the first week, students will complete 2 Nearpod modules about narrative essay definitions and elements of writing. This is the TPAC learning activity for this section. They will then move on to reading example narrative essays and replying to discussion boards. I've set up 2 discussion boards, and students can choose which board to make their initial post to by Wednesday of the work week. By Friday of that week, they will need to post a reply to their peers, and then also complete the quiz for Narrative Essay Basics, which is available through a link right here. In Lesson 1, I've also added the assignment sheet that they will use to complete their own narrative essays over the next 2 units, including the grading rubrics for each section of the assignment. In Lesson 2, students will be drafting their narrative essays, so the assignments in this segment revolve around pre-writing activities and discussions. The rubric for this lesson is in the introduction post. The first assignment they will complete is the Writing Prep Choice Board, which serves as the UDL assignment for this lesson. Students can choose which of the pre-writing activities to complete, which includes options for peer discussion, visual presentation of ideas, and various writing activities. This assignment, along with the pre-writing quiz, will be due on Monday of the second week. Students would be using in-class time to work on these pre-writing assignments and drafting their narrative essays. The discussion for this lesson would be done through FLIP, which asks students to post a video about descriptive language that they will be using in their essay. Here you can see the Flipboard that I've set up for my students, including their full discussion instructions, including their initial video post and their comments to reply to their peers. I also have a Dropbox set up in the online classroom, since their drafts would also be due on Friday of this second week. In Lesson 3, students will be revising their narrative essays, so the assignments in this segment revolve around revising and editing their work. The rubric for the lesson is in the introduction post. The first assignment that students will complete is the revision quiz, which asks about various aspects of revising and editing that they will need to keep in mind as they rework their narrative essays. This quiz will be due on Monday of the week. On Wednesday, students will complete 2 activities from the Revision Choice Board, which is the UDL assignment for this lesson. This choice board gives students multiple options of where to focus their revision work, including another opportunity for peer feedback and discussion. The discussion board itself asks students what they are working on for their revisions, and instructs them to ask their peers a question related to revision. Their original posts will be due on Wednesday, and their reply to their peers will be due on Friday. Students will also submit their narrative essay revisions on Friday of the week. The Nearpod lesson on digital citizenship that I completed for Mayer's 12 Principles of Learning is linked in the online course. Students will be asked to complete this Nearpod lesson about digital literacy at the beginning of the semester. There is also a page under the Supplemental Materials section that outlines my accessibility and assistive technology plan. Students can receive accommodations if they are documented through the Student Accessibility Resource Center, and I am okay with the use of assistive technology that students would find useful to them, although I encourage them to develop their own writing style outside of automated writing-assisted programs. In my peer feedback, my classmates suggested that I add some more detail to my accessibility information, and I've done so by linking and describing specific assistive technology that students may find helpful. Since many students in my area use school-provided Chromebooks, they can learn how to turn on the built-in text-to-speech feature, or enable speech-to-text in their Google Docs files. Mercury Reader is a tool that makes it easier to view online articles by limiting distractions and adjusting the font. And while LibriVox is not necessary for this course specifically, I found that it's a great tool for other English classes, so I've included it here as well. My course applies TPACK framework by incorporating content, pedagogical, and technical knowledge through the use of various educational technologies, including Google Classroom, Nearpod, and flip discussions, to learn about narrative essays and involve students in the writing and revising process. My course also applies UDL principles by giving students multiple options to demonstrate their knowledge and progress their learning. There are 2 choice boards that students will use, one for the pre-writing and one for the revising stages of the writing process. These choice boards give students multiple means for engagement in the course content. They also have 2 options for which discussion board to post on in the first lesson, which lets them choose which essay they are most interested in and take part in the discussion on that topic. Even though students need to draft and revise narrative essays that should follow a specific structure, I've tried to incorporate flexibility into the online assignments. Meyer's 12 Principles of Multimedia Learning are mainly present in my Digital Citizenship supplemental material, as this course does not include many multimedia materials, but I have still attempted to incorporate several points of it throughout. For example, I've used the pre-training principle to introduce ideas and vocabulary before I ask students to apply them to their own writing. I've also used the segmenting principle to break content down into multiple smaller chunks, including the assignments that contribute to the drafting and revising stages of writing. Lastly, I've applied the personalization principle by using everyday language in my content. I don't want to make the writing too formal and alienate my students in the process. In reflecting on my work creating this learning unit, I'm happy with the number of different technologies I was able to incorporate, and I appreciate the peer feedback about my accessibility plan. I think that the thing I struggled with the most in creating this course was figuring out how to incorporate non-traditional technology tools, especially the flip video discussions. But I think my plan for it works well. I know that I will need to continue to push myself to become familiar with the wide variety of technology tools available and experiment with integrating them into my educational plans to create engaging lessons for my students in the future. Thank you for watching my presentation of my online course.